There are 6 minutes of body cam footage that the Marine Corps say that don't exist. It was recorded in a restricted canyon at Camp Pendleton, one of the largest military bases in the United States. And the Marine who wore the camera, he's gone. He just vanished. So I've been going through this one for a while now, and I'm going to walk you through everything that I've compiled. So let's get into it. Okay, so before I get into what was on that body cam, I need to set something up first, because you need to understand what the US military has already admitted to that they just can't explain. So this happened back on November 14th of 2004. There was this carrier strike group, the USS Nimitz. It was conducting training exercises out in the Pacific. And one of the ships in that group, the USS Princeton, had been picking up something weird on the radar for days. Objects just dropping out of the sky. Now, we're talking 80,000 feet in less than a second. That's not normal. Nothing we have does that. So they send out a fighter pilot, Commander David Fravor, and he's flying an FA-18, and they vector him towards one of these contacts. And what he sees out there basically changes everything. He describes an object that is about 40 feet long. It's white, it's shaped like a tic-tac, and it has no wings or no engines, no windows, or nothing that should let it fly. And it's just hovering there out over the water. It was moving around erratically, so Fravor, he goes down for a closer look, and this thing reacts. It turns toward him and accelerates and crosses right in front of his jet. And then it just vanishes, gone. And then moments later, the radar picks it up and it's 60 miles away. So they estimated this thing was moving at 46,000 miles per hour. Now, just for some context, our fastest jet goes 2,200 miles per hour. That's like 20 times our fastest jet, which is pretty insane. And here's the thing, in 2017, the Pentagon actually confirmed that the footage was real. The Navy came out and said, yeah, these objects are real, and we have no explanation for them. On the record, they just admitted it. So if they admitted to the Tic Tac, what haven't they admitted to? Okay, let me tell you about Camp Pendleton. It sits on the coast of Southern California, about 100 miles from where those pilots saw that Tic Tac. Now, this base is massive. It's over 125,000 acres, 17 miles of coastline. Less than 20% of it is even developed. And the rest, it's just wilderness, canyons, mountains, restricted training zones, and impact areas where they've been dropping ordnance for 80 years. And there's a part of this base that most Marines have never even seen. Entire canyon systems that aren't on any public map. Some for unexploded ordnance and some for reasons nobody will explain. They just say you can't go there. Oh, and here's a fun detail. The base sits right next to the San Onofre nuclear generating station. It's decommissioned now, but they're still storing 123 canisters of spent nuclear fuel underground there, about 100 feet from the Pacific Ocean, just sitting there. But before any of this was here, before the Marines, the nuclear plant, before the highways, this land belonged to the Luiseno people. They've been here for at least 10,000 years. And according to their tradition, life on Earth literally began in this region. It's basically their Garden of Eden. They've called it the birthplace of their first children. And the Luiseno have stories about this land, old stories, and warnings that we'll get into because they all connect in a way that honestly gives me chills. But first, let me tell you about Corporal Marcus Reyes. Now, I'm calling him Marcus Reyes. That's not his real name, but the account that's been circulated among Marines who served at Pendleton in the late 2010s involves a combat engineer with that rank, that MOS. And his story has been corroborated by at least 2 other service members who were there. So Reyes had been stationed at Camp Las Pulgas about 8 months when he gets this assignment. It's early spring. It's a 4-man survey team, and they've been sent into a restricted canyon system on the eastern edge of the base, near the San Margarita Mountains. And the briefing was totally routine. It was a geological survey. The canyon had been off limits for years because of unexploded ordnance. But someone upstairs wanted to update the terrain data. Go in, take readings, mark waypoints, and get out. It was a fairly simple and easy day. That's literally what they told him. So Reyes and his team, the 3 other Marines, all experienced with at least one deployment, they gear up before dawn. They have body cams, GPS units, and survey equipment. They drive as far as the access road allows them to drive, and then they start hiking in. And Reyes said the canyon was actually beautiful. He mentioned later how green everything was after the winter rains, and how quiet it was. The trail was rough, but it was manageable. But about 2 hours in, the trail starts to disappear, and the canyons start narrowing and the walls start rising up around them. The vegetation gets really thick. They're pushing through this dense brush, scrambling over these boulder fields, and that's when they find these symbols. Carved into a rock face about halfway up a canyon wall, maybe about 15 feet up above the trail, was partially hidden by the overgrowth. There were deep grooves in the stone, maybe about a foot across, forming these patterns that Reyes didn't recognize. And they were too worn and softened to be graffiti. Definitely not military markings. And they didn't match any of the Luiseno symbolism from the base cultural briefings either. Now, these geometric patterns could have been figures. They could have been structures arranged in a sequence that looks very deliberate, almost like writing, except not any writing system that he had ever seen. Vasquez made a joke about ancient aliens, and then he laughed nervously and they moved on. But the canyon just kept getting stranger. So the survey maps showed the canyon dead ending in a box canyon about 3 miles from the access point. That's it. That's where it ends. And according to the briefing, that's where most of the concentrated ordnance was. Stay clear of the terminus and just map the approaches. Except when they get to where the dead end is supposed to be, there isn't one. The canyon narrowed into this gap, 2 massive boulder formations, almost invisible unless you were standing right in front of it. And beyond that gap was another canyon. And at the back of that canyon was a cave entrance. So we're talking maybe 20 feet wide and 15 feet tall. The kind of opening that you might mistake for a shadow if you weren't looking for it. And somewhere deep inside, Reyes said he could feel air moving. There was this cool draft carrying a smell that he couldn't place. It was like mineral, ancient, like a wet stone that hadn't seen sunlight in a very long time. Now, they should have stopped there. The mission was pretty clear. There was nothing about cave systems or going underground, but they were Marines and they went in. So the first 100 yards or so were pretty unremarkable. Natural cave formations, irregular walls, uneven floors, and the normal erosion kind of stuff that you'd expect from water moving through soft rock over thousands and thousands of years. But then Reyes notices the silence. And I don't mean it was just quiet. He described it as the complete absence of sound in a way that felt like wrong. No dripping water, there was no echoes from the footsteps. It was like all the sound was being sucked in by this cave. Like the cave was just absorbing everything. So Vasquez goes, "You guys hear that?" And then nobody heard anything. That was the point. They kept moving. The passage was sloping downward. Reyes's GPS started acting up. The signal was flickering. The coordinates were jumping to locations that didn't make any sense. So he figured it was interference from the rock above. A natural explanation, sure. About 300 yards in, the body cam picks up this low frequency sound wave, just above what humans can hear. On the audio track, it shows up as this subtle hum, but Reyes describes it differently. He said it felt like pressure, like his ears were trying to pop, but they couldn't. And then Vasquez's radio starts crackling. Not their frequency, just fragmented transmissions, like voices maybe, except not in any language that they recognized. Just these static-filled bursts rising and falling like someone's trying to communicate through interference that's too thick to get through. So the passage opens up into this chamber, and Reyes tried to describe what he saw when his light hit those walls. He said the words always fall short. The space was massive. Think of like a basketball court, but maybe bigger. Ceilings at least 60 feet up. And it was rough hewn, but clearly not natural. The angles were like too deliberate, and the proportions were too intentional. The walls were covered in these strange markings from floor to ceiling. There were thousands of them. Some were overlapping and some were arranged in sequences. And here's what got me. Some of them were fresh, like carved within days, maybe hours. The edges still sharp. Stone dust hadn't even settled yet. Think about that. Whatever made these markings might still be there in that cave system, or had been there very recently. The chamber was at least 20 degrees colder than the passage, cold enough to see your breath. And there was a smell now, not the mineral dampness from before. This was organic, like a root cellar or back of a cave where animals had been denning, except older somehow. Against the far wall, arranged in rows, were these objects, cylindrical, made of this material that his helmet light couldn't quite illuminate. And this is the part that is kind of hard to wrap your head around. He said the light bent around them, like just slid off. His eyes kept trying to focus on them, but he couldn't. And in the center of the chamber, there was this pit. It wasn't natural. The edges were too regular, too smooth, maybe 15 feet across. And it was just absolutely black. No bottom visible. Reyes walked right up to the edge and shined his light straight down. And nothing, just complete blackness. So coming from the pit, low at first, like the hum from earlier, except now it had direction. It was coming from below. As they were standing there frozen, the sound changes. It rises in pitch and it starts getting louder. And then it just stops. It responded to them. Something in that pit was aware that they were standing above it. That's what Reyes described as not just a sound, but a shift in the air, a presence, a certainty that something below had just woken up. The radio crackled again, and this time a voice, clear, but on frequencies they weren't using, from a location that couldn't possibly be in range. Survey team, return to surface immediately, acknowledge. Nobody acknowledged. They ran. In the ascent, it's a blur on the footage. Shaky cam, heavy breathing, boots scrambling over the rock. Vasquez fell and Reyes just pulled him up without even slowing down. And they didn't stop until they hit daylight. And when they come out, gasping, blinking, they're not alone. There's a response team waiting at the canyon entrance. 4 men in tactical gear, no patches, no tags, no insignia, an unmarked vehicle, equipment cases stacked in the back. The team lead walks right up to them, holds out his hand, equipment, all of it now. They handed over everything, survey gear, GPS, radios, body cams. Reyes started saying something. What we found down there, and the guy cuts him off. You didn't find anything. You surveyed an unstable canyon and determined it was unsafe for further exploration. That's what happened. They got driven back to the base in silence. Nobody spoke. Reyes is sitting there just waiting for someone to explain what they just saw, and nothing. Their CO was already waiting at Las Pulgas. No questions, no briefing. He already knew. Word had somehow traveled faster than the truck. You're done for today. Go get cleaned up. Forget the survey, forget the canyon. You were never there. The speed of the cover-up for 2 weeks, all 4 Marines had been reassigned to completely different bases. Reyes to 29 Palms, Vasquez to Okinawa, and the other 2 to the East Coast. They literally scattered them on different corners of the earth. No explanation, just orders signed by peoples whose names Reyes had never seen before. In the canyon, it was permanently restricted. Not for ordnance, not for conservation. The official designation was geological instability. And for years, that was it. Reyes didn't talk about it. None of them did. You got told to forget something by people with no name tags and orders you've never seen before. You just forget it. That's how it worked. But something like that doesn't stay buried forever. Pieces start coming out. Guys talk. Not publicly, not on the record, but in places where veterans who served at Pendleton swapped stories, and Reyes's account kept coming up. Enough details corroborated by enough people. By 3 years ago, fragments of the footage started circulating. Nobody knows exactly how it got out. Reyes never said. In the footage, it can't be verified, but it can't be debunked either. And it just sits there making people uncomfortable. But before I get into what happened to Reyes, I need to tell you something about the Luiseno people, because this is where it all connects. They've lived in this region for at least 10,000 years. Their oral traditions all go way back to the end of the Ice Age. And according to their mythology, this land was sacred from the very beginning of time. The Penjanga, now I might butcher some of these names, the Penjanga band traces their origins to the Exva Tamiku, where they say life on Earth began, and not metaphorically. They believe the Creator literally placed the first human beings right here. Their religion centered on Chingishnish, this great avenging god who rose to power after the death of Wiyot, who was their first ruler. And Wiyot was betrayed and poisoned, and with his death came mortality itself. Like death entered the world because of what happened to him. And Chingishnish commanded servants, watchers. The Luiseno called them the Avengers. And these weren't just metaphors. According to the Luiseno belief, these were real supernatural beings that took the form of raven, rattlesnake, bear, mountain lions. They watched for transgressions, and they punished anyone who went where they weren't supposed to go. They also spoke of water babies, spirits that inhabited underground pools, and their cries were considered omens of death. And these stories have warnings about specific places, sacred ground where the Avengers watch, where things that shouldn't be disturbed sleep beneath the earth. The indigenous warnings line up with what Reyes has found. Camp Pendleton sits right on top of that land. And then Reyes went dark. His last communication was a text to a friend who served with him. 3 words: they're still watching. His phone was disconnected the next day. Social media deleted, apartment vacated. The other survey team members have all declined to comment. Official channels deny that the footage even exists, but the canyon is still restricted. And the Luiseno have been warning people about this land for 10,000 years. So what's really happening at Camp Pendleton? Is it a classified installation, some Cold War bunker, or some black site? A geological phenomenon that produces sound conventional science can't explain? Or is it something older? The Tic Tac proved that the military encounters things that they can't explain, and sometimes they actually admit it. The Luiseno tradition says that certain places have been dangerous long before the military even existed. And whatever Reyes found in that cave, the response wasn't curiosity, it was containment. Now, that response team was waiting before the survey team ever made it back to the surface. They were ready, and they had protocols in place for this. Someone knew what was down there, and they sent those Marines in anyway. Apparently, the footage shows 6 minutes of inside a cave that's on no map. Symbols, chambers, a pit that responds when you stand above it. 6 minutes, the Marine Corps says never happened. Now, I've never seen this myself, and I haven't been able to get a hold of it. If Reyes is still alive, well, he's not talking. His last message was only 3 words: they're still watching. And the Luiseno knew about the Watchers 10,000 years before we ever built a base on top of them. And the things that watch from the deep places, they've been watching for a very long time. And if you made it this far, comment Avengers down below so I know that you stuck around. If you're into these deep dives and the unexplained, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.